welcome to the Data Playbook podcast. My name is Kris Peeters. I'm the CEO of Data Minded. And in the Data Playbook podcast, we interview data leaders, data experts, and data practitioners. So together we make a playbook to build better data and AI organizations. And today I'm honored to have with me Dr. Barak Chizi. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Barak, can you, for the audience, quickly introduce yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
So, first of all, I'm a data scientist for almost 25 years, a little bit more. And currently, I'm the Chief Data Analytic Officer at KBC Group. And I'm responsible group-wide on all commercial data and AI activity within the group and within the daughters companies of KBC.
All right. And it's an impressive title you have today, but how did you get to where you are today? What's your backstory?
So, I was always curious about people behavior. We can always speak about it later on and get a little bit deeper to that. And I really specialized first on data analytics and data mining. This was actually the early days before AI actually came into our consciousness. And I did a PhD in machine learning. And I started to work, I work for the government and in different agencies, but I also worked for different global companies. For example, like Deutsche Telekom, providing what was called on that days big data projects, which eventually actually more boiled out to what we are known as today as AI. But research-wise, I'm dealing with AI for many, many years. I'm specialized especially or concretely on high-dimensional space or inferring in high-dimensional space. And this is very, very important as time goes by because we truly understand how many data points we are collecting about people behavior. And this is something that I'm really, really keen to understand.
All right, cool. And so your current role is Chief Data and Analytics Officer at KBC Group. I think people can get an idea of what that is when they read the title, but what does a day in the life of a Chief Data Analytics Officer look like for you?
Yeah. So, the main goal is to empower people with more data-driven decision-making. And this is very, very, sometimes very, very challenging, especially on a financial institute, where a financial institute is mainly based on domain experts' opinion and view. Yes. And you need to come with kind of a fresh approach or maybe different way how to do business, which is based on data. So basically what we're trying to do is, besides actually providing some insights about our data or about our customers' behavior data, we are also trying to mimic the decision-making or the cognitive repetitive decision-making by a machine. And I think that within the last more than 10 years, almost 11 years that I'm doing that at KBC, I also established the AI division at KBC at 2015. We are more and more into coming into a place where we can benefit our customers for almost 24/7 service, which is humanless.
Yeah. Humanless.
Yeah, humanless.
You mean so it's completely driven by machines?
It's some of it or significant part of it is driven by machine, but of course, on the most sensitive part, we have human in the loop in order to guarantee that nothing wrong will happen. This is especially we can speak a little bit about it after that, about the agentic journeys that now we're introducing. But indeed, we are able to provide really continuous service or customer experience with a humanless position. Let's put it that way.
All right, cool. One of the things that we talked about before is that you developed what you called a U model or the U model for managing data and AI projects.
Yes.
And I think that I found that very interesting because, well, we see as consultants, we see many companies and they're all dealing with data and AI projects in a certain way. I think you probably do it at a larger scale than most.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about what that approach is and how does it work in practice?
So, in the software development sphere, let's call it that way, you have always the waterfall model that you studied in the university, and you have also some agile approach. Yeah. The U model is something which is meant in order to provide a very efficient implementation and piloting of a data science project. I developed the U model. It was, I think, in 2007. So KBC is not the first place where I implement this kind of a model. And the U model essentially takes you from the scoping phase until the maintenance one in a finite process, where also within the process you have the involvement of different actors, also the data scientists, which is a crucial player on this, but also what we're calling a profile of business integrator that is into mediating between the business and the modeling person. Of course, what it's really unique that you have following the U model, you have a lot of go, no-go points where the safeguards are being executed by very important entities, for example, the legal entity, the compliance entity, which plays a crucial role, especially on KBC AI creation. And we are talking about, since we started, that we almost, I think that it was 7 months ago that we celebrated more than 2,000 of AI use cases that came into production within our group, which is quite scalable. And it's done in an iterative process where we have a very concrete and solid governance that, I don't know if your audience is aware, but the CEO of KBC, Mr. Johan Tess, is personally improved every use case of AI. And he's personally involved and aware of that. And he puts a lot of his own insight and his experience. I think that Mr. Tess, as one of the few, or maybe the only one, CEOs in the financial sectors that breathes AI for so many years. And he managed also to put his vision within this. So we are at the AI division, we are just the exclusive vendors for the creation of the business vision of Mr. Tess.
All right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, you said a finite process, right? So that means there's no AI project that goes on indefinitely at KBC, or how should I look at that?
There are some projects. We have some flagship projects, for example, like Kate, like what we're calling the Optimum Fund. We have our AI fund for asset management, which is very, very successful fund for many years, that we have iterative execution or retraining for that. But the creation is done not in a sequence, but in a finite way, that we start from a scoping for the main idea. We're going into kind of a piloting, to execution, to maintenance, and this is a one-timer. The other cycles are cycles which are meant to be dealt only with maintenance or with retraining or improvement. So if you have a totally new idea, so for us, it's a new project. Yeah.
Got it. But so a project can run in production, if you will, for years, but the development was done.
Yes, it could run in production, and we also will retrain it. Some of the projects we're retraining in a more, recurrent basis. Yeah, and some of them, it's enough, once a year or even less than that. It depends what we're doing. Yeah.
And I'm guessing for an organization like KBC, there's always 100 people who have opinions on which project to do next. I'm guessing you have a large backlog of use cases that you could be doing. How do you prioritize?
So what we're doing at KBC is, because KBC, it's not just one country. So we have currently 5 countries. So every country got its own ideas and its own cases. So we discuss it on a cycle of a month. And within that month, all the cases are going to the group steering committee. We are evaluating and we are discussing within the group steering committee, which is headed by Mr. Tess, which is a delegated entity of the executive committee. We're discussing the different cases and we are prioritizing the cases among our resources. I can tell you that I've been blessed with a sufficient amount of resources that enable me to execute that in every country, because we have an AI team in every country and we have also 2 central teams, one here and one in Czech Republic, of really, really talented people. We can also speak about our special process of recruiting, or how we actually built this kind of thing. And we're using as a main criteria the ROI. So it's, I'm not the chief innovation officer of the group, but we are not doing innovation. We are doing business. We're using innovative tools, that's true. But the main criteria is the return of investment. And AI and data analytics is one of the most profitable streams within the group. Of course, I'm not going to expose the numbers, but there is a significant contribution to the revenue of KBC and also to the profitability because of the use of AI and the use of data.
And so I guess every use case has to make a business case up front, where they have forecasted or expected ROI.
So it goes like that. So the business scope the ideas. So also with the guidance of my team. By the end of the day, it's the business use case. It's a business project. It's the revenue of the business, and the business is also commit about the value. And we are guiding different business entities to do it in the worst case scenario, in a way. What will be in the worst case, what will be the revenue that you can gain out of it. And after that, we also have some execution of post-calculating the value. And I must admit that I never encounter a case where the value was less than what the business always, it's way above.
So you want to under-promise and over-deliver in a way. It's cliche, but
it's cliche, but it's the way how we're doing things. It's also reflect the DNA of KBC of being a very conservative institute. We don't take any unnecessary risk, and this is also something that maybe I think that maybe we can also speak about it. We are really guarding all the data, all the AI creation as something which is part of our assets, and it's done only by internal people, because the privacy and the secrecy and the interest of our customer, this is actually the things that we are highly concerned of, and we are not going to jeopardize that with any kind of immediate revenue, immediate profit. So this is very important to us.
It's interesting. I had a question later on, but indeed, as an external consultant ourselves, it is indeed true that you have a philosophy on not working with external consultants for your AI strategy. And you say here is because of risk and protecting the customer. How far are you pushing that? Because at some point you also need to work with external services, right? I mean, you cannot build the chips in-house, right? So where do you draw the line?
This is true. So, I still remember that all the consultancy firms, when I arrived at KBC in the first 3 years, they invited me to a lot of parties, a lot of things. But when they truly understood what is my policy, I think that I didn't get any kind of invitation in the last years, but it's true. And we draw a very clear line between what we consider as our core activity and our IP, and what is a pure infrastructure thing. So KBC is a good customer with companies that provide infrastructure services.
Yeah.
So this is something which is not correlated to our core activities, not correlated to our IP that we are developing. By the way, we are very sensitive about IP. I think that KBC is one of the few or the only Belgian bank that actually have a very thick portfolio of patents dealing with AI. Yeah. But we are trying not to jeopardize our core activity and to expose our secret sauce.
Yeah.
This is also something which is very important. So it doesn't mean that we don't have cooperation with other companies or with universities. We are very strong on this. But we are doing that in a framework that guarantees that the IP will remain with KBC, and that external companies will never provide us an AI project in a kind of a body shopping wise or part of our activities that will expose us to other companies in terms of the know-how. And this policy was determined not by me personally, it was determined by the executive committee and also by the CEO, and it really proved itself. So we see AI as a more strategic growth engine to our company, and we're really guarding this.
You're putting how do you say it? You put your money where your mouth is, right? So if you say it's a strategic asset, you're also investing internal resources to it.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And I truly believe that what actually makes the competitive advantage of KBC, especially on this field, is our really keen approach to do things independently.
Yeah.
There are some cases when we see that there is mature product outside that we can consume. For me, it will be very stupid to develop from scratch something which is mature outside, and then we are really into buying mature product or something that was actually proven. So I'm not developing everything, but the things which is actually correlated to my core activity and to my things, this is something that I will probably do.
Related to what you said earlier, you also said that many companies are still stuck in the era of data warehouses.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess it relates to what you said about focusing on infrastructure. But what do you mean by that, and how is KBC moving beyond it?
Yeah. So, I think that I was invited by, there is a very nice forum here called CIO Net.
Yeah.
And they once invited me to give a lecture about data warehousing. And I came with a lecture, why data warehousing is toxic for a corporate environment. I think that I didn't get an invitation for CIO Net after that. But no, just laughing. They're always inviting me. It's a very nice forum, by the way. But you have to understand that it's much more deeper than the technological aspect of it. And I want to explain. When you build a data warehousing, and I had the privilege also to teach data warehousing in the university for many years, you based yourself on the approach that you'll give some insight to a domain expert, and he or she will decide what to do. So what you're doing, or you're collecting the different questions that they are going to ask, and you build the different dimensions and the facts. And then you enable the people to slice and dice a huge cube or small cubes, it depends how you build it, in order to get into the real cause of what really happened. But you're leaving the inference question to a human being. This is not, this is kind of a more data exploration and not a data-driven approach. Why I mean by that? Because if you, for example, use machine learning, you are less interested on the story behind it, like the domain expert, but you are more interested on the probability that something will happen.
Yeah.
And if you base yourself on a data-driven approach, you are more keen to understand that there is, for example, 80% probability that you, Kris, will buy an investment product from our asset management department. I'm not really interested about why you're doing that. It might be that I would be interested in order to explain that to the regulator, to explain why I approached and I'm doing so. But this is not actually the main purpose of that.
But can I conclude that you say a data warehouse is backwards looking and you describe the facts that happened, but you mentioned the inference is left to the human, so the human has to draw their own conclusions about what will happen then?
It's also machine learning use historical data, but the main difference is that, and especially if you look on corporates, and especially on financial institutes, they report themselves to death. So they're providing a lot of reports, a lot of insights, and there are a lot of people that actually are slicing and dicing into and exploring the data, and they use visualization system in order to see what is here, what is there, in order to bring the person into a situation that he can actually shout Eureka, not just only on the bath, but he or she understands where the patterns is going to. And the main drawback of this, that you have to build quite a monster. You have to, and the data warehouse, it's also, it's a redundant structure of data. So it's a time variant read-only, but it's accumulated data that you have to write, and you have to write it many times in order to make it optimal to read. So you have a huge amount of data to manage, and you have a huge amount of report in order to enable the people. And it always boils to the fact that a human being is very constrained on his or her ability to infer complex pattern. And we saw it, by the way, a lot when we developed the AML platform for KBC, which is based on AI.
For the people listening, can you explain what AML is?
AML, it's anti-money laundering. So there are some people that trying to launder their money, also using financial institutes with many tricks, so many kind of situation. And we are obliged by the different regulators in the different countries to screen the transaction, or also to screen the people. In order to avoid this kind of activity. If the regulator will find out that this activity is done within the financial institute, he can fine a financial institute very heavily. So we have a lot of story about ING, for example, that actually they have this kind of case, or other banks. And the fine is usually percentage from the turnover, which is quite heavy.
Makes you nervous.
It makes you nervous, and there is also implication about how the CEO is function, and how the executive is function, and how the board. So it's a very significant thing. That's why financial institute puts a lot of effort by providing immune capabilities from this kind of activities. And KBC was really blessed by an AI-driven system, which is very, very powerful. And it's mathematically, it's based on kind of an assembly of different machine learning models that are all proprietary of KBC. By the way, this part of it was heavily patented by KBC after that. And it was so successful that also KBC decided to commercialize that outside. So we established a transformation company named Sky, where we're selling this kind of platform to other financial institutes. And there are other financial institutes that are using KBC propriety in order to protect themselves from this kind of activity.
But there, I'm curious a bit, it brings us to this KI indeed. You said in a few times that you want to protect KBC IP. It's important that because it's a big revenue generator. But now you're actually offering the services of your AML services to other banks, right? Are you not helping your competition doing that?
No. we are not helping the competitors. We are making money sometimes on the competitors because we are providing IP that we already registered with patents. And we provided the services to other financial institutes. And this is additional revenue generators for the group.
Okay.
So, within all my professional experience, I was really used. And I think that if you look on the entire portfolio of patents of KBC, which is, again, it's quite wide. Mm-hmm. In European standards, of course, if you compare this to giants in the world, for example, like RBC, we are not actually that big. Mm-hmm. But this is something which is crucial when you want to lead an industry. Yeah. Having your own propriety, having your own IP as a kind of a growth engine. Yeah. And I think that as time goes by, KBC Group is well recognized, and not just because of her excellent service, but also because it's very unique value proposition that is mainly determined by the AI activities and the AI IP that KBC is creating.
Maybe one more technical question on that. Yeah. So you started this with saying that data warehouses are a bit thing of the past and you need to embrace machine learning. Well, some people are saying that traditional quote-unquote machine learning is also a thing of the past, where you do have historical data, you do training set, you build a model and then you score the model. Yeah. Because now you have LLMs and you just throw all your data into an LLM and you get the answers. Yeah. Do you agree with that, or how do you look at that evolution?
If we are opening already the topic of generative AI and LLM, by the way, not always we use LLM, sometimes use a small language model. By the way, KBC started to do generative AI from 2018. Even before we have the libraries of ChatGPT. So if some of your listeners are wondering why it's become so hot in Mechelen, so it's mainly because of our servers. And I still remember that it was the first paper about transformers that was published in 2018. I was very, very keen to try it. And we built what's so-called a small language model, because I don't have the equipment and the servers like big companies.
Like OpenAI.
Yeah, like OpenAI. And we trained and we built LLM-like, which consists about all the policies, details, and specification of KBC Insurance in Belgium. And what was really interesting, that instead of the agents will call the back office, they spoke with our model through Outlook. They just sent a question on Outlook, because we didn't have a chat technology on that time that was mature enough. And they got an answer with an email back.
Yeah. That was running on your own hardware, on your own GPUs in the data center of Mechelen.
I remember that I convinced the executive committee to buy 3 very expensive Tesla servers with a lot of GPUs. We used it also for university collaboration after that, but this was actually the first time that we did it. Of course, when later on, 3 years after that, when ChatGPT was actually kicked in, and also the GPT libraries were much more efficient. So I didn't need to do it by myself. But getting back to your original question, it's true that you can do a lot of things with LLM, but you have to understand that we are thinking in a very pragmatic way. So there are some cases which are appropriate with LLM. There are some cases which are appropriate with machine learning. There are some cases which you can do with simple automation. For me, good enough, it's the new perfect. I need to deliver value. I need to deliver profitability. So not always I'm very, very keen to use the really most sophisticated feature or algorithm ever. Of course, it's for me as Barak, academic-wise, it's always interesting. It's always stimulate me intellectually. And you have to understand that when you put a data scientist like me into financial institute, when you have so much data, it's like putting a small kids in a huge toy shop. But I have my own limits. So it's true that with LLM you can do a lot, but not always it's efficient. Not always it's cost-wise is smart. And we are very, very selective about which use cases we use with which technology. And this is actually the difference of doing innovation in sake of innovation or using innovative tool in order to make business. And we're making business because by the end of the day, like I mentioned, I'm judged by the ROI. So we are a public company. We have in the stock exchange, KBC is there. So people will evaluate KBC mainly by the profit, by the revenue, and how efficient we are. And this is actually the main driver. So you have to think also technological-wise, scientific-wise, but you are working in a very, very, strict and heavily constrained commercial environment. And I've been scrutinized in order to get the main thing. And the main thing is how to get much more errors from your money.
No, I think it's
from your data. So.
It's a very healthy approach because I think there was a study out recently that showed that 90% of the large LLM projects or the GenAI projects were not delivering any value, right? So
it's the MIT report about that.
Yeah, MIT.
And this is, when I read it, I read the report, I was not actually that surprised because you have to understand that, and I have a lot of conversation with my peers, sometimes there is a huge pressure to use technology instead of using technology, to use cooperation with this company or with these others, just to show that you are innovative, that you actually advanced. But there is no any kind of concrete commercial sense behind it. And you have to understand that we don't like to brag on this on KBC. The only things that it's important for us, it's the value proposition to our customer and how will be the customer experience vis-a-vis the different technology that we're doing. And I think that with Kate, for example, it's a very good example. Kate will be 5.
That was my next question. But go ahead.
I'm a data scientist, so I'm trying to predict your question. So it's okay. But I think that Kate will celebrate her 5th birthday following this month. And I think that what actually was the main driver for Kate was to enable our customers to get full service 24/7, not by a human being in a branch. So if you sit in your house 2 a.m. or late in the night, or when you come back home and the branch is always closed, you still need to do the things with your bank or with your insurance company. And you want to use immediate channel. You have to understand that it's also kind of a generation. If you look on behavior people, it's more generation question rather than a technical one. Because I still remember that, I was born in 74. So until the 80s, we didn't have color TV. And we have a TV that sometimes you need to wait 2 or 3 minutes until the screen will get warm and you'll see the picture. I don't think that it's the case today. So if I remember that also on the 90s, or actually in the beginning of the 90s, I was waiting so much to download, something from the internet, or that something will get back to me as an answer. If something is not getting back with a couple of milliseconds, you think that it's a lousy service. I think that the customers of today has no patience at all. And it's mainly dictated by the new world that we are living in. It also came with a lot of disadvantage about misjudgment of the output that you're getting, or less. The quality is less important, and people that actually are trying to trust the machine wherever cannot trust the machine. And you can see the funny example of people, especially, for example, on X, that copy paste the output out of ChatGPT and just post it their own posts, or using that in code, for example. It's really funny examples. But this is actually the main thing that we are looking at, and we looked at. And I think that Kate is one of the few chatbots that are not providing only information retrieval. So you're not getting only information. You are able to do what we're calling end-to-end execution, which is facilitation of processes that you can do only on the branch. You can do it with Kate. And I was really happy that in the beginning of the month, all KBC customers are now exposed to the new version in Belgium of Kate, which is more generative AI based, and enable us to understand much better about the question of the customer, which is also context-based. We have a lot of funny examples. When you read the log, I can tell a lot of story about that people are saying one word and we expect Kate to understand exactly what we do. So I don't think that somebody will get into the branch and say credit card, and immediately the lady or the gentleman sitting in front of the customers will understand exactly what they want. Kate can understand.
Maybe people are even less patient with chatbots these days than with other humans, right? They try to be very brief and just solve my problem.
Yes, yes. That means that the human channel is still valid,
absolutely,
but it got a little bit of a different flavor. Yeah, and I got a very nice reaction also from my close friends about how fun is it with Kate and how actually it goes smoothly for things that actually happen to them when they have to go to the branch or they have to go to the insurance agency. And I think that the next version of Kate that will come following 26 will be even better, when Kate will be able also to introduce and to explain and to guide a very complex bank and insurance scenarios, which is only done by a human being now. So this is something which we are doing as our own propriety. Kate is propriety, which was developed by KBC.
Yeah.
We didn't do that in a cooperation with some companies. Indeed, we are also consuming LLMs as a kind of a commodity. We're using AWS, and we're using OpenAI, and we're using a variety of LLMs for that. We don't have specific cooperation or agreements with one or exclusively by one. And this is very, very unique, because the approach of developing AI solutions at KBC is done with granting us a huge degree of freedom and independency, and we can swap technologies, and we can decide what we want to add and what we don't want to add as time goes by upon the context.
Is that to avoid lock-ins? And why do you do it?
It's mainly because we are thinking that there are some core activities which are so strategic to KBC that we need to develop by ourselves. But we don't, I'm not hiding, we don't want to be locked in by a specific vendor. Yeah. But we do have a very excellent relationship with all vendors. We have also a very good collaboration with them. So some of the things we're doing also with a kind of a design partnership with some of them. And we try to benefit and to be close as much as we can. I think that, KBC, in Belgian terms, it's big, but in world, we are not at Bank of America or something like that. But I do think that with my conversation with the high management of the different technological firms, that they really valued our feedback and value the things that we are creating. And it's also something that their encounter on a later phase with other parts of the industry. Yeah. So they think that it's important to interact with us.
Coming back to Kate, you said in the latest version it supports LLMs, but
no. Also now we're using LLM. On the current version of Kate in order to understand the question of the customers and in order to understand what to do next in a very secure way.
But that's a recent development, right? You said Kate is 5 years old, 2020. There were no, to my knowledge, LLMs available back then. So was that one of those things that ran on the small language models that you built, or how did
we did it with a lot of NLU technology, but also with a lot of machine learning models. That were part of our own development. Kate was developed on open source. So we use a lot of open source. We used Rasa at that time when Rasa was open source. And we have a very also good collaboration also with that company also. But it was, again, a very thick layer that was developed by KBC.
Internally. And you said you want to give more and more responsibility to Kate. I understand that takes away the need to go to branches, to a bank branch, because you can do it through Kate. Do you also think it will take away the need to use the app itself? And do you think more and more users will use Kate instead of the app? Or will it always be?
Also now you see that a lot of people prefer to interact with Kate heavily. And Kate is not just doing things in a pool that you pull the information or you pull the process, but Kate also provides a proactive approach. So Kate is offering you things. Kate is, I read, I think it was in the beginning of the week about the collaboration between PayPal and ChatGPT. I think that KBC is doing that already. Not in that scale, of course. But Kate brain consists of very sophisticated AI model that can select the right timing and the right context in order to offer you the right value proposition, the right proposal. And this is very, very important because, again, I don't see, and me personally, but also, the team around me, that Kate is a kind of a retrieval mechanism. Kate is a brain, Kate is a methodology, it's an approach. And as time goes by, we see really, really how deep are the requests and the conversation, and how we can see quite a huge increase in terms of the interaction of our customers with Kate.
Okay. Maybe that brings me to the future of let's say, for AI and financial services. So where do you think, if we do this interview again 2 years from now, what will we have done, or what will you have done? What do you think will change in the financial sector due to AI?
Look, I think that it's also touch upon where AI will be. So, I don't know, I was reading as a child Asimov. And always you have the nightmare about, bots that will try to fight a human being and to breach. I don't think that we're going to be there. So I don't believe that Kate will rob KBC. I already heard this kind of a joke. But what I do think, and this is actually something that, if I'm getting back to the days that I was more in the academia rather than the industry. So, for example, my professor is dealing with a lot of domains which are related to soft logic. It's more things which we can understand in a different way than we understand now behavior of people. I will give you an example. So, when you try to understand people's attitude towards something, so the traditional way is to understand that whatever somebody is okay or not okay, and you can grade it. But the new way of approaching in soft logic is in a way that you somehow satisfied. You cannot really define. It's really fuzzy.
Okay.
And it's also about development of what we call in consciousness. And consciousness, it's a new domain that you need to understand in order to be able to be in a position that you can model the intent of our customers. So in a way that if you will be able to model the consciousness of a human being, which is a kind of a mental situation which is due to a context, is due to what actually happened with the customer before, what will happen with the customer in the future. It's very, very combined. I think that AI is very close to a situation where consciousness can be modeled, and then the influence on human being will be much bigger than today. Yeah, you can already see that people are trying to capture consciousness within people. Also, you can see it with, for example, with a lot of campaigns. You read it about, for example, how Russia and China is trying to develop some opinion within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is done in a very brute force way. So, for example, you can change values in Wikipedia. You can actually put in other things, and I think that what you see now with Grokopedia, yeah, which is a very fascinating thing. By the way, it's really amazing how Grokopedia actually grew in the last days. I'm really following up quite closely. But this is about pointing out in a static way information that you may read or doing. Working or modeling about consciousness, yeah, it's something that you can develop an opinion or an attitude within human being. Also, we're doing small things that will create the behavior in a different way. Of course, there are a lot of ethical questions that need to be asked. And by the way, KBC is not playing with customers' consciousness. In my view, yeah, it will be quite far when people will do that. But this will be the next phase of AI.
Yeah.
And it's not that far. It's not that far. I already read a book, which is a kind of a deep research about that. If somebody from your audience wants to have much better information or to have a little bit more information about that, so they can contact me. You can put my details there on my LinkedIn or my X. It really doesn't matter. We can I can put a reference to the book, but science is really, really close to that point. That means that the behavior of people and the way how we can do that will be much more transparent and much more predictable. That means that also financial institute will have the really important tools in order to give a better value proposition, because then you can guess what will be the next need of your customer in a much more efficient way. And I think that this will come to a place where financial institutes will be the best place to do that, because they are always guarding the interests of the customers. This is much more safer than doing that with other companies. Yeah, where you keep your money, you can also keep your conscience. You can also keep a consciousness. Sorry, you can also keep your data. This is a safe place where to do that. And I'm really curious to see how it goes. You know, it will be kind of a new revolution. Not everybody speaks about that, but as time goes by, we see how different geopolitical processes within the world grew from this.
Okay.
Yeah? And it's very, very, very interesting. Yeah.
All right. The final topic I want to touch upon is, you mentioned a few times that you build things in-house. Your team has a reputation of being a very good, very skilled AI team, and it's also a high diversity team.
Yes.
Right? So I'm curious, can you shed a light on how did you build the team? How do you select people?
Yeah.
What is the team like? If I walk into that room, what will I see?
The AI team within KBC, not just in Belgium, but also in other countries, but especially in Belgium, is a highly diverse team. I think that I have currently something like 24 different nationalities. Yeah, I have all religious in one place. There is no war there, so everything is done.
Good.
And I think that it starts also with a very bold and brave decision of Mr. Tess to bring a non-Flemish person, even a non-Belgian person, to be the head of this. This is something which actually made a difference in terms of the diversity. When I'm recruiting persons, and I'm recruiting persons globally, the people in the core team of mine mainly are highly educated. Most of them actually got PhD in related topics. Are recruited because of their brain, not just because of their nationality. Okay, and I don't know if you're aware, but we have, for every position that we publish for a data scientist, we have more than 250, 300 applications, which are mainly relevant for that. And we don't use headhunters, like we don't use consultants, and we don't use placement companies. And this is done mainly by the network of the people. How we started, when I came to KBC, I installed a different recruitment process at KBC, which is built mainly on kind of a home test that we give to the different data scientists, the different candidates. But it's also based on a different way of understanding or evaluating the persons, which is based on a group interaction and also an interview with me and with our chief data scientist, where we're trying to understand how people are thinking and how people are behaving. And I must admit that what guides us is the added value of the brain of the people. And we're really blessed with a lot of people that came from really the leading institutes in the world, rather than the location or the nationality. So it was also a decision of me to take it further. And I think that if you come to the floor, you can hear conversation really in different languages, not necessarily Dutch or French, which makes the things really, really nice. People are also really appreciating the fact that we are able to give our data scientists better experience and better exposure to the new technologies, to the new problems, in order to expose them how to practically build advanced AI solutions. We are not actually the best payers in the market, but indeed, we are providing a very welcoming and growing environment. We're investing a lot of resources about training our people and obtaining the knowledge. And if somebody is leaving, I'm happy that I was a stop on his or her career.
Yeah.
And we have also some stories, the people that actually came back to us after one or two rounds. It's also happened. Yeah. And this is something which is done in a really, again, in a non-corporate way. I must admit that I got a very good cooperation also with our corporate HR from that. And they're really supporting us, even though it's a totally different process than they were used to it. So we have kind of a non-Flemish organization in a very, very traditional Flemish company, but it's done for good purposes.
And for people who are listening or watching and they want to apply, can you give them some insider tips on how to increase the likelihood that they will be hired?
Nowadays we have different kind of candidates. Yeah. So when we started, so it was just people that were strong in theory. And after that, I was also introduced to people that actually were kind of a Python technician rather than... and nowadays I have a lot of people that write codes in using generative AI and other tools. But what I'm really looking at is how the capability of a prospect or candidate is able to model and to have kind of a more broad academic knowledge about how things are working. Yeah, this is one thing. The second thing, communication skills are very, very important. Are very, very important because we are working in a group. And it's always very crucial to have the competence of how to explain a very complex thing in a simple way. And I think that this three principles is our leading principle when I'm selecting a person. By the way, I think that I have, if I actually look on the diversity also gender-wise, we have quite a lot of women if I compare it to other departments. And for me, I didn't take it as a target. Again, what actually is leading me is really the brain behind it and the capability to integrate into our creation process.
All right. I have one final question, which I ask everyone. What do you know today about data and AI that you didn't know when you started at KBC 10 years ago?
When I started, I was mainly driven by the diversity of the data and the opportunities that I would get out of it. I think that now, after 10 years at KBC, I truly understand that it's important. Indeed, it's crucial. This is our fuel. But what it's really important is also to understand and to try to model the behavior of the people, of the customers, of our prospects. And in some cases, it's even more important than having a lot of data. And I think that this is something that, I'm 51 today. This is something that the maturity actually brought me to look differently when I was around 40 when I joined KBC.
All right. Can you recommend a book on that topic for people who are interested?
Yes. Right. Yes, there are several books. I have a very good friend named Dan Ariely. He's very famous.
Yeah.
I think that if you read some of his books in order to understand the behavior or the irrational behavior of a human being, it's a good starting point before you even dive into modeling. Why? Because when you model, always you make your own assumption and your own biases, even without paying attention. And sometimes people think differently or behave differently.
Yeah. We'll put the book in the show notes. Barak, thanks very much for coming on the podcast, and I wish you all the best in your journey.
Thank you very much.